All right, hi Professor Ritter, hi future teacher Sean. Today we're going to be talking about the octave mechanism on the bassoon. There are many different mechanisms on the bassoon to access different registers. We have the whisper key, which works for a lot of the notes you're trying to access, but it doesn't work for all of them. Some other techniques we have to use are venting and half-holing, along with flicking. Let's start with half-holing. I'm talking about number 1 in your top hand. You have to cover not all of the tone hole, but a part of it, and it changes depending on the 3 notes that it applies to. And we're talking about the F sharp, G, and G sharp in the staff of the bass clef. So let's go through the fingerings for each one. And so we have 3/4 of the top tone hole, number 1 in your top hand. 3/4 of it should be open. Then you have your thumb on the whisper key, 2, 3. Then you have 1, 2, 3, and you have your bottom thumb on the F sharp key, which is below the pancake key. All right. All right, next one is G, and you're going to want to slide your number 1 on your top hand finger up a little bit so that half of the tone hole is covered. Then you have 2, 3, resonance key, and you have the whisper key in your top thumb, and then you have 1, 2, 3 in your bottom hand. And finally we have G sharp, and you're going to want to cover most of the top hand 1 tone hole. It should be 1/4 open. And then you go 2, 3, whisper key, 1, 2, 3, and then you press on the, sorry, I'm blanking. You press on the front low F key, the top key for your bottom hand pinky. Sorry, I'm doing something wrong here. Let's review it again. We got 1/4 open, 2, 3, whisper key, 1, 2, 3. And then we got, oh, I'm sorry, you don't use the top of the pinky keys. You use the front A flat key. So that is the bottom and largest of the 3 options. So you got, okay? So practicing going between those is going to be really helpful, and it is pretty difficult, especially when you're crossing the break going from F to F sharp. You got a lot of moving to do, especially sliding your pointer finger down is going to be tough to get comfortable. And then for the next part of the range of the bassoon, we cannot use the half-hole technique anymore, so we use what we call venting, and it's also called flicking, but venting describes it better. What you're doing is you're opening a pad here by pressing what we call the A key on the back of your top hand, okay, and you press that down while fingering 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and then the key with venting is that you lift your thumb after articulating. All right, so the venting basically acts as an octave key. If you don't press the vent, you might crack like that. But if you keep the vent open, it creates a fuzzy sound and it's out of tune. So you're just gonna wanna flick it. Okay. And so we do the same. We use vent keys for B and for C, but we don't typically flick. We keep them held down. So for, let's see, where am I? Right, so for B flat, you're going to want to press on the B flat key on your bottom thumb, and then 1, 2, 3 in your top hand, 1, 2 in your bottom hand, and there is the 4th from the top key called the high C key. So that's whisper key, then you have C sharp, then you have A, then you have the high C key, which you will use for both all three of them, B flat, B, and C. So you're gonna keep that held down, and but that is still a vent key. The only difference between that and the A key is that you keep the high C key down. Then you just lift up your 2 in your bottom hand, and you lift up your thumb in your bottom hand. And then you got B, and then you lift up 1 in your bottom hand, so now your bottom hand isn't doing anything. And there we got C. So that covers half-holing and bent keys. And articulation, the main mistake that we have with young players with articulation is that they think they need to press the tongue on the reed in order to articulate. Like, it comes up with a brash, cutting sound that is not flattering. And it goes hand in hand with air support when you teach the correct articulation, which is that the tongue is already on the front of the reed, and you're just removing the tongue and allowing the air support, which is already in your lungs, to shoot through the horn. And you're going to want to have that air support ready and on standby. And you can just practice with without the instrument, just having a full inhale and then having the pressurized air ready to shoot out. And then shoot it out. So before I let out the airstream, my tongue was resting on the front of the reed. And so that is what we want to teach when we teach articulation, is that you don't necessarily attack the reed with your tongue, but you have your tongue placed in front of the reed, preventing any vibration, and then you lift your tongue to allow the airstream and the vibration to create a cutting beginning of the note. And I think that, yeah, just going back to air usage, your lungs should feel like you're playing a whole note, even when you're playing, staccato, different rhythms. You're resting, like, I'll go C, D, E, F, and my lungs are going to treat this like it's a whole note. So I obviously articulated each one. My lungs didn't know that. My tongue lifted itself from the reed. And then dampen the reed to end the note, providing space between the notes. But yeah, the point is you want to have the air support always there, always on standby. And if you hear space between the notes, that's not the air stopping, that is the tongue dampening the reed. And that is all. Thank you so much, Professor Ritter and future teacher Sean. Look forward to class tomorrow.